Major changes incoming as new updates provide huge news to give Canucks fans some excitement amongst their ever-dwindling playoff chances as we head through the final games of the regular season. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, so first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any and all Canucks updates as we head into a big game against Anaheim tomorrow afternoon. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is back to practice. And yes, we are talking about Nils Höglander, who was in a normal colored full contact jersey at Canucks practice today. Tyler Myers is absent, no sign of center Elias Pettersson. So unfortunately, Tyler Myers being absent with an undisclosed injury is not a good sign, and no sign of Elias Pettersson, that is also not good. However, having Nils Höglander back, I never thought I would say this, but we need Nils Höglander back so bad that it's not even funny, and I never thought I would catch myself saying that or saying that Nils Höglander would be such a critical point for us at this time in the season. But before he got injured, he was on a nice little tear where it was unfortunate to see him go injured when he did, and just in general because you never want to see a player get hurt. But he had such a big boost coming through this past month where he was playing some of his best hockey of the season and really proving his worth, proving to Tocchet, hey, I belong here. I deserve to be a top 6 guy. And if he's back tomorrow afternoon, he will absolutely be a top 6 guy. I can definitely see him slotting in on that top line with Pius Suter and Brock Boeser filling in for Jake DeBrusk and put DeBrusk back on that second line. I know DeBrusk, Suter, and Boeser have been playing all right together, but after that last game, you need something that's going to shake it up immensely. So you drop DeBrusk down to that second line with Blueger and Garland, and you plug in Höglander on that first line, because throughout the past month and seemingly since January since we turned into 2025, he has really been stepping it up and deserves to be a top 6 guy on this roster. He was playing fantastic, and we were getting goals scored. That was all that mattered. It doesn't matter when they happen, doesn't matter how they happen, just matters that they happen. And Nils Höglander, he was not only scoring himself, but he was creating so many opportunities for guys. He was keeping the puck alive in the offensive zone, racing the pucks, out-muscling guys, playing his absolute ass off because his ice time was going down, so he had to make the most of those opportunities. As he made more of those opportunities, his ice time started going up, and we saw him go from being a top 6 guy to start the season to a bottom 6 guy to a healthy scratch to a potential trade bait candidate to back up to this bottom 6 and then back into the top 6 once we had the injuries that we had, and just him playing some of his best hockey of the season and proving why, hey, I was deserving of that $3 million contract he gave me. I'm going to go out and prove it right here. So he's been able to do that this season. It took a while for him to get going. However, once he had those opportunities, gained Tocchet's trust back, he was finally able to do that, have not a lot of pressure around it. So he was really able to just succeed and really excel within this Tocchet system once he had that trust back. But how excited are you guys about this Nils Höglander update, and how excited are you about our prospects going into tomorrow's game against Anaheim? I know it's a game that we probably should win, but I know a lot of Canucks fans know that that is not the case with this team this season. Easy games are not going to be ones to come by, especially down this stretch. And that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is part of the 1%. No, we're not talking about the 1% that everybody wants to be a part of. We're talking about the playoff chances. MoneyPuck.com puts us at 1.9%. Hockey Reference at 1%. Playoff status 1%. The Athletic 3%. Power rankings at 6%, and FanDuel at 4.8%. FanDuel at 4.8 seems like they're just trying to get your money because of having it just being at a generous 4.8. But absolutely down this stretch, Vancouver is going to be struggling to try and just beat that percentage and make sure it doesn't go to 0. However, doing that is going to take a lot of help. With 7 games remaining in the regular season and a maximum of 14 points available, the Canucks cannot afford to lose and likely will need to go 7-0-1 or even 6-0-1 to have any shot of qualifying for the big dance. And against these teams that we got coming up, I don't know how that's going to be possible unless they're resting their starters. Vegas, they're already in the playoffs, so maybe they're resting their starters all right. But then Dallas, you have them. They're probably going to win the cup all together. I think they're going to be the toughest team to beat in the Stanley Cup playoffs for any team that goes up against them, whether it's in the West or in the East. I think Dallas is really built to win the most out of the teams in the playoffs. I hate saying it just because it's not Vancouver. Then you got Colorado. We were able to beat the crap out of them earlier in the season, so hopefully we can do it again. Minnesota, they've been falling off. San Jose, they're bottom feeders. They're right where they belong. And then back against Vegas again. So really, our only hope right now is if they rest their starters and we can just go on this tear, get all these wins, some overtime ones if we have to, because I know as much as we don't want to have those stressful 3-on-3s or those shootouts, because that can get very not tipping in our favor in the past, and especially this season, we've been terrible in extra periods. However, with only 14 points up for grabs, and we're being 6-7 points out of a playoff spot, still with a game in hand, it's still going to be very crucial to get as many points as we can. So, as much as we want to get regular season wins and win every single game, we got to rattle off some overtime wins, steal 2 points when we can, and get the points that we need to leapfrog over St. Louis and Minnesota. If Minnesota is dropping down in the rankings like they have been, and just maybe Minnesota becomes that number 2 wildcard spot that we're trying to beat them out of, St. Louis, they're on a tear right now. They're kind of just soaring past Minnesota. So with that, we do play Minnesota again. So that game could be very meaningful. If the Canucks go on a run here, we win those games leading up to Minnesota. Minnesota continues to struggle the way they've been struggling. That sets the stage for a possible tiebreaker scenario for us, where if it comes down to points and we're tied with them in points, maybe we get the edge, or we just are able to leapfrog them in general and get into that number 2 spot. Calgary is going to make it tough. Other teams are going to make it tough. And those teams that we play down the stretch, even though they're going to rest their starters, nobody's going to just willingly lose. They're still going to try and play us as tough as they can with the players that they have in there. So that's going to make it all the more tougher, because there's nothing worse than playing against a team that has nothing to lose. Not saying those teams have nothing to lose, but if you're playing your backups, those backups are going to play as if they have nothing to lose. They're going to play as if it's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. So as much as they might not have the talent of those starters, they're going to play with that grit of those starters playing in their biggest game of their career. So that's something you got to watch out for if you're a borderline playoff team, is teams trying to play spoiler by having that chip on their shoulder, or just not resting their starter in general and saying, hey, you want to fight for that playoff spot? We're not going to make it easy on you. We're going to make it even tougher on you, and we're going to try and practice for the playoffs. We're going to sharpen our teeth, and we're just going to feast on you as we cruise into the playoffs while you guys are heading to the golf course. Hopefully it's not the case for Vancouver. Maybe we see some starters being rested for teams like Dallas, Vegas, Colorado, but it is still the NHL. We could see something crazier happen in the Canucks. Maybe we get it together. We wipe off those past 3 games that have just been kicking us in the teeth, especially that last game. Ultimately, a very sour feeling to have watching as a Canucks fan. I was watching that third period just hoping things were going to get better with every passing minute. They didn't, and there's been a lot of noise around Vancouver this whole entire season, but especially as of lately with all the Rick Tocchet stuff, all the Elliot Friedman's been saying with the Philadelphia stuff, the John Tortorella stuff. It's just been all over the place. Been a lot of noise for Vancouver. So if we don't make the playoffs this season, hopefully that just eliminates the expectation that we carried in from last season, and we're able to go into next season just fully fresh, not having to worry about any drama, not having to worry about any fans complaining or anything else like that, or any of the pressure. We can go in with a fresh slate next season and try and do it all over again, but successfully. But what do you guys think about all this? I know everyone's kind of written off the Canucks season. You guys are just looking on to next season, but we still have some games left. We still have some hockey left. So what do you guys think about these final 7 games coming up? Let us know what you guys have to say down in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.